LTU was out today taking care of some areas needing additional attention. They suspended winter operations around 4 p.m. this afternoon. And LTU says tomorrow morning they will reassess and see if there are areas that need some further attention. I'll have more on this story tonight at 6 o'clock.
All right, thank you so much, Veronica. Hey, the nice lady we interviewed, she agrees with you. She would like to see a little more snow. So there were several accident reports this morning around the Lincoln area, including one at 13th and Nebraska Parkway. Here's a look at the aftermath. Lincoln police say slick roads caused 3 separate crashes involving 4 vehicles.
All in southbound lanes on the same street. It forced them to shut down southbound lanes of 13th Street for about an hour this morning. Thankfully, though, no one was injured. City officials continue to warn everyone to take it easy out there when driving. And with many areas of central Nebraska getting a foot to 2 feet of snow, the State Patrol was busy.
Here's a before and after photo sent in by a sergeant from St. Paul. Troopers have responded to about 30 crashes and 230 motorist assists throughout the brunt of the storm. They warn drivers to take it slowly when you're driving, as many places in the area are still a little slick. And speaking of that, here's a look at the 511 travel map. As you can see, much of the state is blue, which means partially covered. The pink in central Nebraska means the roads are completely covered.
And in far southeast Nebraska, the green roads mean completely normal there. And there is some darker purple you can kind of see now in south central Nebraska and around the Omaha area. That means the roads are wet. Also, you can see that red line there. I-80 is still closed from Grand Island on west, so keep that in mind if you're traveling. Meanwhile, in Kearney, a snow emergency remains in effect until 6 o'clock tonight, and city offices are still closed.
The city received about 10 inches of snow there in Kearney, and several workers continue to work around the clock to plow the streets. Officers there responded to more than 70 motorists yesterday and directed what they say countless semis off of Interstate 80 and other closed highways. Yesterday, we brought you what David City here in Nebraska was looking like during the snowstorm.
Today, we went back there to see what the city looks like now after all of the snow. The city's main streets downtown are clear of snow. The street supervisor of David City says crews were out at midnight and got the arterial streets clear. The residential ones, though, are still covered with snow, and he doesn't expect them to be touched until early tomorrow morning. The street crews also have to remove the snow that was piled into the middle of the street. And you see some of those piles there? They're over 7 feet tall. Those piles, though, allowed for one family to make a snowman outside of their home.
I like everybody to see and be happy that the snowman that other people can make. Snowmen are super fun to make because you can have a chance of being cold, or if you're like a grown-up, it's easier to make the balls.
Aren't they adorable?
Having a snow cone.
Yeah,
there too,
Ross over there having a little snack. Riker, though, hopes people who see his family snowman will make their own, and the whole town of David City will be filled with friendly snow people.
They weren't just having fun in David City. Look at this. A forecaster in North Platte took a break from measuring the storm to, well, make snow angels. They did get over 12 inches of snow in the city, setting a new single-day record for January. It's also the third most single day of snowfall since 1875. And yeah, so he was at least having some fun.
Yeah, Rusty, I bet you had a lot of fun yesterday too with that storm.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of weird. We saw a ton of snow in some spots, and then in Lincoln we saw a lot of rain. I mean, it was just incredible how much rainfall we got for January. I mean, it's just, if you look at it in that respect, yeah, we missed out on a lot of snow. We only got just over an inch of snow in the capital city, but the amount of rain was just incredible. Satellite radar quieting down, peaks of sunshine for eastern half of the state to western half of the state, seeing mostly sunny skies. This is Schoen's Roofing and Beatrice. Cloud cover still out there a little bit, but they got a little bit of snow as well, and it looks like the streets are doing pretty good. With a temperature of 29 degrees, probably some slow melting going on, which is exactly how we like to melt off that snowfall. It is a little chilly out there today for everybody. Looks like a little warmer towards Broken Bow at 30 degrees, which was the hot spot for snowfall yesterday with almost 2 feet of snow. The wind is out of the north and west at 5, 10, 15 miles per hour, so not a a whole lot of wind, but there's still ice on our camera lens. Rod, will you climb up there and clean that off for me, please? Thank you. 28 degrees by 6 p.m., 26 by 8 p.m., 24 degrees by 10 o'clock tonight with mostly cloudy skies. So we'll talk more about a kind of a chilly forecast, and there is a small chance for some more snow. More on that in a few minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rusty. In other news now, a Lincoln home caught fire just before 3 a.m. Crews battled both flames and dangerous conditions left by yesterday's winter storm.
When crews arrived, this home near 49th and Pioneers was engulfed in flames. Firefighters say, some icy roads, that did not help with their efforts. Investigators say the fire was caused by a faulty heating system. The home is a total loss. We are told that no one was inside at the time of the fire. Today, the Nebraska legislature debated and voted on its rural adoptions for the next 2 years. Last week, the senators spent over 9 hours in a committee hearing sorting through over 50 proposed changes.
Out of those, only 7 were put forward to be voted on today. One rural adoption that was hotly debated was a rule to change the speaking order when a motion to indefinitely postpone a bill is made. Another proposed change was banning deadly weapons from the Capitol, which was debated among several senators.
Let's think not only of our own safety, but the safety of our staff and our community. This does nothing to prohibit your right to bear arms, but we ask you to be mindful of the impression you create.
I support the right to keep and bear arms. I support our Second Amendment. Just about anything could be used as a deadly weapon if somebody was trying hard enough, and I worry about the trickle-down effect of this rules change and how its interpretations could be used against those trying to testify in our Capitol.
That proposed rule change ultimately failed, but a number of others passed, which we'll tell you all about in our 6 o'clock newscast tonight. Nebraska Congressman Mike Flood is introducing a bill to keep the number of Supreme Court justices at 9.
It appears to be in response to recent attempts from Democrats to expand the nation's highest court to 13 judges. Flood said in a release he doesn't always agree with Supreme Court decisions, but doesn't suggest the court be packed to achieve whatever outcome he wants. Now to a critical time in Washington. Today, the Treasury Department says the U.S. reached its debt limit.
That is forcing them to start extraordinary measures to keep the government fully funded for the next few months. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen urging Congress to act promptly and raise the debt ceiling or temporarily suspend it. House Republicans are now drafting a plan that would require the Biden administration to prioritize paying back certain debts over others if a deal can't be reached. But that plan would be dead on arrival in the Senate, which is controlled by Democrats.
The path that the Democrats are going, they're going to go bankrupt.
This is not a plan. It is a recipe for economic catastrophe.
Economists warn millions of Americans could lose their jobs, while others may have their government benefits like Social Security, Medicare, and military salaries stopped and tax refunds delayed. It's important to note voting to raise the debt ceiling is not a vote to spend more money. By increasing the credit limit, it allows the federal government to pay off debt it already owes. Still to come on the news tonight, the latest developments in the Rush movie set shooting.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Prosecutors announced charges in the Rust film shooting. Both Alec Baldwin and the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, face charges.
That's right. The two will be facing 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the 2021 accidental on-set shooting.
You were in the room when someone was shot?
Holding the gun, yeah.
Cinematographer Helena Hutchins and director Joe Souza were hit when a prop gun held by Baldwin fired a live round. Now, Hutchins later died of her injuries. She was just 42 years old. Baldwin asserts he never pulled the trigger, but FBI investigation concluded the gun was in good working order and the trigger had to be pulled for it to fire.
And I cocked the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
They didn't mean to do it. They didn't have the intent to kill, but it happened anyway, and it happened because of more than mere negligence.
In statements, Baldwin's attorney says his client relied on the professionals who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. In a statement of their own, Helena Hutchins' family says it's a comfort to know that in New Mexico, no one is above the law. In Illinois, 2 paramedics face first-degree murder charges after Earl Moore Jr. died in their care.
Body camera footage shows the 2 trained EMTs shoving him onto and strapping him to a stretcher face down.
Oh, he strapped him in good.
Initially, police responded to a 911 call from a woman saying Moore was having drunk hallucinations. When help arrived, the responders were immediately aggressive with him and refusing to move him. So police officers eventually carried him out, and that's when Moore was placed on the stretcher, deprived of oxygen.
We stand in solidarity on behalf of the family to get justice for Earl Moore Jr.
They treated my son like he was an animal. He was human.
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't wish this on nobody.
An autopsy performed found the cause of death to be homicide, specifically compressional and positional asphyxiation due to prolonged face-down restraint.
Now, your Storm Alert team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins.
On Thursday, the drought monitor is updated. Unfortunately, there's no updates. Everything is exactly the same as it was last week at this time, and which isn't surprising. In January and February, it's things don't change too much too fast. The ground's frozen, so nothing really happens. Hopefully, though, the snow that we saw just yesterday, hopefully that trickles down into some areas that desperately need it. And speaking of snowfall totals, impressive numbers. Lincoln did end up with 1.2 inches, so at least that's something. 2.6 in Seward, and then the further west you go, the higher the amounts, and incredible amounts towards Myrna, just around 2 feet. North Platte 13.9, Lexington at 17. So this was, the models hit this one right on the head, right here, bullseye, and they were saying over and over again, 18 to 2 feet of snow, and that's exactly what happened. They did miss a little bit here. If the rain had been snow, they would have been dead on. They were saying 6 to 9 inches for southeastern Nebraska, but that freezing rain and rain and dry air really thwarted higher numbers here, but still 1.2 to 2.6 in 2 miles southwest, south of Fairbury. Outside right now, gorgeous looking sunset going on. Thank you very much, Honda of Lincoln, for this camera. That's a good looking shot at 27th and Yankee Hill Road, a mixture of clouds and sun, and that's going to look really cool here in probably the next 10 or 15 minutes. At the airport is 29, at Yankee Hill Road is 28, 27 in Firth, as well as Milford and Seward, all at 27 degrees. A little cooler towards Columbus, too, at 27, and a little warmer in Grand Island at 32 degrees. Kearney at 31. Not much of a wind. It's out of the north and west at 5, 10, maybe 15 miles per hour. Satellite is showing all the cloud cover off to the east, all of the clear skies off to the west, and with clear skies and a fresh pack of 2 feet of snow, temperatures are going to drop fairly quickly in central Nebraska this evening. So we're looking at possibility of temperatures dropping to around 0 in some spots of western Nebraska. We're watching closely to the south and west for another storm system headed our way. Stormcast has this, not much tonight, maybe a couple of flurries. As we see that cloud cover try to increase, this will not amount to much. Maybe a trace, maybe a tenth of an inch. That would be about it. Zooming out though, here comes the next storm system just to the south and west. This is Friday night. It'll wait a little bit. It gets into western parts of Kansas first, may eke its way up into southwestern Nebraska by Saturday morning, and then it just kind of wants to stay south. But quite a few models are saying this bumps up into the southern half of, well, the southern quarter along and south of Interstate 80 by Saturday around noon, and then it could push just ever so slightly to the north. Omaha, Lincoln, Seward, south may see some snow by Saturday evening. Tonight, temperatures in the teens. Notice where there's snow on the ground, single digits a possibility. Kearney at 8, Grand Island and Hastings at 12, but we'll warm up a little bit tomorrow. Average highs around 36. I don't think we're quite going to get there for a while. In fact, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all of these temperatures below average, maybe close to it on next Wednesday. There's that snow chance on Saturday. Other than that snow chance on Saturday, dry 10 days. So it looks like the second half of January is going to be pretty quiet, and we'll see those temperatures at or below, and more often than not below, the average mark. So cool and quiet second half of January headed your way.
You know, at least here in Lincoln, what I noticed this morning and on my way to driving into work was how pretty the trees were after they were encrusted in the ice and then covered in the light snow.
Yeah.
It's like a winter wonderland.
It was cool, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Rusty. And speaking of that winter weather, in southwest Nebraska, school was closed, of course, for the day in Imperial. But the girls' basketball team said, well, we still need to work out. So they all volunteered, got together, and shoveled everyone's sidewalks in the community.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? And on their snow day, their day off, they're helping others.
And they got exercise.
There you go. Way to go, girls. Still to come, we have a look on Wall Street today, a negative day. The Dow falling 252 points. NASDAQ is also down 105. Here are your numbers. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source. birthday. Staff there are wishing a happy 6th birthday to a gorilla named Kugoshi.
Now, teachers at the zoo originally planned for students to bring down treats, but that didn't happen after winter weather closed down many schools and organizations, of course. Instead, staff sent birthday wishes on everyone's behalf. There's an Egyptian tomb with mummies inside, but these are different. They're mummified crocodiles that may have been reptilian gifts to the gods.
Spanish archaeologists have found an undisturbed tomb containing 10 mummified crocodiles. It dates back to nearly 300 BC. The tomb was first discovered in southern Egypt in 2019, but archaeologists have just now released their study and these images. The small tomb contained 5 complete skeletons and 5 skulls from large crocodiles, which the study says may have been used during rituals for an Egyptian god. And also, if you're thinking about seeing a movie tonight, you'll have an excuse to get a big bucket of popcorn.
Do I need an excuse?
No.
Well, here's one. Today is National Popcorn Day. There's all sorts of ways to enjoy it. We all know it. Butter, caramelized, toss in some seasoning, or have it plain with some nuts and chocolate. My wife loves popcorn with like M&Ms, the little ones.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Yes. Each year, it's estimated Americans go through roughly 13 billion quarts of popcorn. Popcorn can be traced all the way back to the 16th century when the Aztecs used it for ceremonial headdresses.
It's simple to celebrate. Just toss it in the microwave or fire it up in a pan and enjoy. Rusty, how do you like your popcorn?
I don't know.
He likes it popped.
Let's find out.
Are you there?
There we are.
There you are.
I did see in one of those TikToks or whatever where you take a kernel of corn, like popcorn, and put it in between like a heating iron, like a hair curling iron.
Right.
And if you leave it there long enough, it'll pop.
That's going to take a while to pop a whole bucket of popcorn.
Oh.
Remember Jiffy Pop? You put it on the stove.
Oh, that was fun.
Are you too young for that?
I've never done that. Yeah.
But you've heard of it.
I think I've seen it in movies or something
It
or
was
other.
big back in, 70s, something like that. So.
Oh, hey, hi, it's just me now. Let's talk about the forecast. We've got satellite and radar going on that's showing just quiet skies on the western half, a little cloud cover on the eastern half. I think clouds will try to build back in as we head through tonight and into the day tomorrow. Here's your forecast for the next 3 days. 31 degrees on Friday, 32 degrees on Saturday, 30 on Sunday. Now on Saturday, there is a chance for some snowfall. The second half of the day, I think along and south of Interstate 80 will have the best chance for some snowfall. That's something we'll keep a close eye on as we head through the next several days. But right now, it just looks like a quiet couple of days ahead.
And once again, getting back to the drought conditions, Rusty, you were talking about this. So many areas so thankful to get what they could get, whether it was rain, freezing rain, or up to 2 feet of snow. The big point there is getting some type of precip, right?
Yeah, this is going to help, but we need more of these. We need, in the spring, we'll need like a 1/4 of an inch here, and then the next day another 1/2 inch, and then a couple of days later, 1/10 of an inch. That's what we really need.
All right, thank you, Rusty, and thank you all for joining us.
World News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.
With the Channel 8 News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about breaking news and weather, all in the palm of your hand.
It takes time to make Amigos enchiladas. It's not the easiest way, just the best. Amigos has the faves you crave.
Closed captioning on Channel 8 Eyewitness News.